What's up, guys? Graz back with another video. And today is a very exciting day. Today is my unbiased, honest review of these three consoles: the PS5, the Xbox Series S, and the Xbox Series X. So I've waited a while. I got all these consoles on launch day. I've had hundreds of hours spent in each one of these consoles. And I thought that now would be a perfect time to come out with my unbiased review of what I think about all these three consoles. So I'm going to divide them into categories, and then based on those categories, I'll let you know what I personally think. So let's get right into it. The first category I want to talk about is form factor. So form factor, you can see that all three consoles really used, their own unique take. The PlayStation 5 had more of this like futuristic looking design with the clamshell, I could say the clamshell design, as well as the open fins in the front. So this console is taking air in from the top. There's this singular fan here and then expelling all the hot air from the bottom. So very polarizing design that the Sony PlayStation 5 went with. I think the biggest factor here is that people are having a lot of issues either installing it or finding space inside their TV consoles to be able to install it properly. So you can either install it vertically this way or horizontally from the side, depending on the way that you install that bracket. So this is it really comes down to preference. This is the design that Sony did go with, and a lot of people are also saying that maybe it was a little bit big. But personally, looking at it, I think that it's a beautiful piece. It's definitely trying to send a statement that not all gaming consoles need to really look like their boxes. So a big departure, obviously, from Sony for this design. And then you have Xbox with the Series S and the Series X, who typically went more with a standard box design. You can see that the Xbox, the way it's designed is that you have this huge fan at the top, air is being pulled from the bottom and being expelled upwards, versus, like I said, for the Sony PS5, the air is being expelled to the back. So the design of the Xbox is really nice. It's easy to install. It has more of that square, rectangular shape. And it's the same thing for the Xbox Series S. So the Xbox Series S as well has that same type of design, which is square. But the really impressive thing about the Series S is just the size. I mean, the form factor. This thing is tiny. So when it comes to the form factor, this is all going to be preference. It's all going to be preference. So on my end, when it comes to the design, I like the futuristic look of the PS5. I think it's cool. I think it looks awesome. If you don't have a place to install it properly, it might feel cumbersome. So in terms of the look, the PS5 is really cool looking. In terms of like form factor, ease of use, I think the design goes to the Series X or S. And the one by far that's like super impressive is the Series S, just because this is a next-gen gaming console. I mean, it has Zen 2 from AMD. It does have RDNA 2 as well, so fast custom SSD. So it has all the, I would say, the next gen perks, but with this tiny little form factor. Obviously, it does help that it doesn't have a player, a CD player. Sorry. So that's what it is when it comes to form factor. Next thing I want to talk about, guys, is the services. So what are the game services offered by PlayStation and by Xbox? So the game services, the Xbox uses what's called Game Pass, which I have. I'm a monthly subscriber to Game Pass. And the PlayStation has either PS Plus or PS Now. So PS Plus gives you about 4 free games per month and allows you to play online games as well. And then you have the Series S the Xbox Series that has Game Plus. You can either get the Gold, the Standard, or there's the Ultimate Edition. I would highly suggest for you guys to go with the Ultimate Edition. On my end, I have both services. They're both amazing. It's really, really tough to choose. I don't really have a preference on one or the other. I've been really impressed with what Sony's been doing with their PS Plus since the PS5 launch, because they do give you two free PS5 games as well. So you're really getting four. And the game lineups have been pretty impressive. I mean, Final Fantasy VII this month, and last month as well, we had Control Ultimate Edition, which is amazing. But the Xbox Game Pass, if you go with the Ultimate package, like the amount of games that are available is insane for the price. So I can't call it a tie. I mean, there's what's nice about the Game Pass as well is that there's a lot of games that are optimized for Series S and X. So I'm spending a lot of time. Like I haven't even so what you guys have to understand as well is that this is my first generation getting into the Xbox ecosystem, so I don't have any disc games. And till now, to be honest, I don't feel like I needed to buy any. I'm going through Horizon, Forza Horizon. I'm playing Gears 5. I'm playing Ori, Will of the Wisp. These are all optimized games for the Series S and the Series X. So there's tons of games there. So in terms of game services, I'm not going to pick one. I think you guys need to know the pros and cons of each, but it's still pretty impressive what's out there. So that's for the services. Next thing, the games, which is obviously a big one. So definitely, like early into this console generation, it's really hard to really pick a winner. I think when it comes to games, you really need to give consoles 1 to 2 years time. The reason why is that developers are still learning how to use the system. They don't know all the ins and outs of the new technologies. The Xbox has the velocity architecture, and these PlayStation obviously using a super fast SSD. So we're at a stage right now that obviously developers don't know the technology. They haven't used the system to its full capacity. So the games as of right now, yeah, there were a couple exclusives for the PlayStation 5. Nothing crazy because a lot of those games you could have also played on the PS4. So games such as, let's say, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, which did come out on the PS5, but there's also a PS4 port. So you're not really missing out. So when it comes to games, as of right now, I'm going to have to call this a tie. Why? Because I feel like what these two consoles are doing right now is just utilizing their extra power to make older games run better. So, we did get God of War on the PS5. We did get God of War on the PS5 with some upgrades. Ghost of Tsushima running 60 FPS, Days Gone. And I feel like Xbox is also doing the same thing, right? Doing all these optimized for Xbox Series S and X. Like I mentioned, Gears 5, Halo, Forza Horizon. So all these games, Ori, Will of the Wisp, like I said, are all utilizing the extra power on the Xbox as just to give, some type of next gen experience. So on the games as of right now, I'm going to have to call it a tie. I know that long term, for sure, PlayStation is going to have the better exclusives. We do have most likely God of War coming out this year. So God of War Ragnarok. We also have Horizon Forbidden West, which obviously those are going to be exclusives to the PlayStation. But don't undercut Xbox. We do have Halo Infinite that's supposed to launch sometime this year. And don't forget, guys, that Xbox did buy out Bethesda. Bethesda responsible for games, such as Skyrim and obviously, so games such as Skyrim and Doom Eternal. And Doom Eternal is probably one of the best games I've played in 2020, especially with the upgraded graphics on the Series X. So on the games right now, I'm going to call it a tie, but, obviously exclusives will matter a little bit coming down the line. So let's see what happens there. The next point I want to talk about, guys, is fan noise. So this generation of gaming has done a tremendous job to decreasing the fan noise of these consoles. If you guys remember the PS4 Pro, even now that I still use it when I'm running games like Ghost of Tsushima, which is completely pushing the system, it sounds like a jet engine running. And So the big thing for me on the fan noise is these consoles here are super quiet. The PS5, the Series S, or the Series X. But when it comes to overall fan noise, I have to give it. So the PlayStation is not bad. It's fairly quiet, but the fan still makes a little bit of a noise. And I've had experiences as well with the actual disk drive being really loud. I have a video that's posted on my channel that shows the disk drive being fairly loud. But when it comes to overall fan noise, the clear winners are the Xbox. So the Xbox Series X and S are dead quiet. Sometimes I even wonder if they're on. I could literally bring my ear up to the fan and realize that it's really not loud. So great job on Xbox side. Again, I'm not taking anything away from the PlayStation, but the fan noise is definitely a lot quieter. So I'm guessing maybe the cooling might be a little bit better on the design. And keep in mind that there's the way this one is designed is that there's one entire fan at the top pulling in air from the bottom and expelling it. And on the Series S, this black contraption that we see here, that's actually where the air gets expelled. So air comes in from the sides and gets expelled through this vent hole. So the next one, interesting one, is the controller. So controller, guys, I did a video as well on my channel explaining the differences between them both. This all comes down to preference. And for me, the easiest way to say this is when it comes to comfort, I feel like when it comes to comfort, the Xbox Series controller is more comfortable because it's smaller, it fits in the hand a lot better. But when it comes to technology, I mean, this thing is just packed with technology. You have the touchpad, the lighting LEDs, you have haptic feedback, and you have adaptive triggers, built-in microphone. So, I mean, the technology that's packed inside the PlayStation controller, the PS DualSense, is insane compared to the Xbox. And don't get me wrong, it feels amazing. It just feels a little bit bigger in the hand. So, like, especially these parts here feel a little bit bigger in the hand. But apart from that, I mean, I'm not gonna pick one. It all comes down to preference. Both controllers are amazing. I find this one is more ergonomic. This one is packed with technology. So in terms of giving you a better gaming experience, yeah, let's give it to the DualSense. In terms of comfort, long-term use, the Xbox controllers are amazing. They're still really, really good and feel great in the hand. So that's when it comes to the controller. The other thing actually I want to mention about the controller is, I mean, I don't know, Xbox is still using, let's see if I'm able to do this. It's still using batteries on the backside. So it's a preference thing. Yes, I have to admit that, like, if you're running low on batteries, especially battery life on your controller, and you're in a gaming session, you can just swap out the batteries and get right into it. Versus the PlayStation, with all those new technologies, the battery does tend to drain quicker. And this one here, you can't swap out batteries. So unfortunately, what I did to counter that is I bought myself a second controller so that when this one runs out of battery, I use another one. So I'm always able to game. And I mean, if you calculate maybe the amount of time and how much batteries cost today, I mean, it is fairly expensive. And if you calculate the amount of batteries you're going to use through the lifetime of the controller, maybe, just getting a second controller for the PS5 sort of compensates. So that's the other thing to consider. This one is wireless charge, not wireless, sorry. You can charge it via Type-C versus the Xbox. Unless you obviously get a rechargeable battery, you would have to change it versus the batteries. So that's for the controller. Next point, the UI, the user interface. So the user interface between both systems are very, very different. I'm not an Xbox guy in terms like I didn't have the older generations, but what I've read, and what I've seen on YouTube is that the Xbox user interface hasn't changed a lot from its previous generations versus the PS5. So I have obviously the PS4, I've had the PS3, I had the PS2, I had the PS1. So the user interface on the PS5 is completely revamped. And In terms of the user interface, 100%, I'm going to have to give it to the PlayStation. It just looks next gen, more futuristic. The graphics, the way when you switch to one game to the other, the way like the graphics appear is really nice compared to the Xbox. It's I don't want to get hate for this. I find it a little bit clunky, a little bit harder to use. So definitely on the user interface, I have to give it to the PlayStation. It's just a much better next gen experience, I find, when it comes to the user interface. So good job, Sony. But the other thing too is this user interface on the PlayStation 5 runs in 4K versus the user interface on the Xbox Series S or X runs in 1080p. So there's a couple things. This is an easy fix. This is just a software fix. All Xbox needs to really do is update their user interface, and that's easily done through software. Next point is the power. So the power difference between these consoles. So this one here, I mean, does it really matter? Yes and no. Early in the console generation, I don't think it matters. Maybe later in the console generation, it will. The biggest difference between both consoles, so the PS5's GPU is running at approximately 10.1 teraflops versus the Xbox Series X RDNA 2 is running at 12.1 teraflops, and then you have the Series S that is running at 4 teraflops. So big power difference. You're talking about 10 to 12 to 4 teraflops. Again, does it really matter now? I don't think so. There's a lot of games that have come out now that there hasn't been a huge difference between them. I think maybe the power difference, we'll see it 1 to 2 years down the line, especially if, let's say, people are going to start to learn how to use the Xbox Velocity architecture. And keep in mind as well that the Xbox Series X and S are the only ones that have the full feature set from the RDNA 2 from AMD, such as sampler feedback, mesh shading, that apparently, and again, PlayStation hasn't really been very vocal about it, but it could be that this is more like a RDNA 1.5 to 2. We don't know all the capabilities, but it is a RDNA 2 based GPU versus this one here is a full RDNA 2 feature set from AMD. In terms of GPUs, nothing major. They both have Zen 2 8-core 16-thread GPU, so that's awesome. So on the power side, guys, we'll let games do the talking. Specs on paper are great, but let the games do the talking. Next thing is I wanted to talk about the storage expandable options. So the storage options. The PS5 comes with 825 gigabytes of SSD space versus 1 terabyte on the Series X, and on the Series S is 512 gigabytes. I sort of feel like Sony cheaped out on the storage space. They should have just done 1 terabyte instead of 825. I don't know, like Mark Cerny was saying that they did market research and they felt like 825 gigabytes was enough on the console. No, I think Sony cheaped out on this, and they could have easily just put a 1 terabyte SSD inside this console just to match what the Xbox did. And keep in mind, in Canada, it's very strange. In Canada, the PlayStation 5 sells for $630 versus $600, or $629, let's be exact, versus $599 in Canada. Why is there a $30 discrepancy on these two consoles when in the US, these two consoles are selling exactly at the same price? So for me, that's like Sony trying to squeeze out a little bit more money in Canada. I feel like if Xbox, the Series X was being sold at $599, this guy should have been sold at $599 as well. They're charging $30 more with 175 gigs less memory. So that's on the memory side. The other thing I do want to mention as well, and like this I can agree with, is that expandable storage. So Sony has no expandable storage option as of right now. The expandable storage will only become available this summer. Sony, what were you thinking, man? Like the expandable storage slot on this console is completely disabled as of right now. And you're giving us 825 gig. You guys see the issue with here? At least Xbox got that issue out of the way. You can buy expandable storage from day one. Yeah, it's expensive, but guess what? At least it's available. You can buy the Seagate slash Xbox expandable 1 terabyte memory that just swaps in the back, and you can get that expandable storage. It's available. It was available as of launch on the Xbox. PlayStation, the slot is disabled. So even if you wanted to put some NVMe, PCIe SSD, you can't, right? The slot is disabled. Plus, there's none that are sort of, I wouldn't say compatible, but Sony hasn't come out with a list to use. That's another issue. And the other issue that I really don't like with Sony is that you cannot connect an external drive and download games to it and then use it and retransfer back to the SSD when you need it. Xbox made that super, super easy. So you're just limited to this 825 gig hard drive. I don't know, Sony, man. I'm not impressed on the memory side. But, I mean, look, let's be honest. At least Sony's giving the option for third parties to supply memory storage. Give those options. So maybe it might drive the price down. The SSD, the 1 terabyte SSD external storage on the Xbox in Canada runs for $299. This console costs $379. Remove a controller, it's about the value of $299. So an external storage is the price of the console. Yes, I get it. The Microsoft and Sony are selling these consoles at a loss, so they need to make their money back with accessories. So that's on the memory side. The storage side, it's got to go to Xbox, and maybe in a year from now, well, if I redo this video, it might go towards Sony because the third-party SSD options might be really cheap. One thing, again, sorry I forgot to mention about the UI, is something called Quick Resume. So Quick Resume is amazing on the Xbox. I'm going to do a video showing you guys, but you can have up to like 4 games open and you can just quickly select the game that you want and boom, you're just thrown right back into the action exactly where you left off. Quick Resume on the Xbox is exactly what it is. It's quick and it lets you resume the game exactly where you left off, but not just for 4 games. The PlayStation doesn't have this function. Calling out the PlayStation to make that function available as well. Make the quick resume function available because it's just awesome to have multiple games open and being able to swap in and out without having to go through the loading screen anymore. Yes, the SSDs are ultra fast, but if the Xbox can do it, I think that's something that the PlayStation can include as well. Which comes to the SSD speed. So on paper, the SSD is quicker on the PlayStation, but in practical use, does 1 or 2 seconds change anything when it comes to loading games? I don't think so. So for me right now, the SSD speed is like a null. Both consoles are at ties. Yes, on paper, the PS5s, I think it's like 5.5 gigs versus 2.5 or 2.4 gigs per second on the Xbox Series X or S. But in terms of practicality, it's too early to say which one is better. So we'll see. Next, video recording options. Okay, Xbox, Microsoft, if you guys are listening or seeing this video, or if anybody here can like share it with someone, the PlayStation makes video sharing so easy. It's so easy to just record a video, record in 4K and 60 FPS, and being able to share it, load it up to YouTube. They make it seamless. and you can record that video directly to the internal storage. Microsoft, what the hell, man? You can't, first of all, you can't record videos directly to the SSD or to the memory that's on board, the internal memory. Why? Why? Like, what is so hard about that? Option number 2 is you can't record in 4K. Why? Why in 2021 can we not record in 4K our videos? The other thing too, in terms of uploading the information, you're not making it easy to upload. You don't even give YouTube as an option to upload videos. So when it comes to, again, and this probably comes back to the UI, the user interface. When it comes to video recording options, the PlayStation is like way, way beyond. And why include that share button if you guys can't optimize how to use it, you know? So Microsoft, you guys really need to, one, let the video recording options work directly, like being able to record those videos directly to the SSD and not have to use an external device. Two, let it be 4K available. That's the other thing as well. Let us record these high quality videos. Now it's like we need to insert an external SSD. Obviously, that's either USB 3.0. It has to be formatted to NTFS or NFTS or NTFS. And that's the only way to get this to work. And then once you want to upload this to YouTube, you got to take that USB, plug it to a laptop, and then do that type of formatting. I don't know. So that comes back to the user interface. PlayStation has it locked down. So, long video, guys. Sorry about that. In conclusion, and again, this is unscripted. This is unbiased. These are just my thoughts on paper and me just giving you really what I feel about all these things. So, in conclusion, which console do I think you guys should buy? And to be honest, I think you guys should buy both. This is probably the first console generation where it's worthwhile to buy both. To be on the PlayStation ecosystem and to also be on the Xbox ecosystem. If money's a little bit of a concern, which of course it is during COVID, not everyone can afford these consoles. Maybe the Series S can be an option. It gives you, some pretty decent power and gives you access to all next-gen gaming. Obviously, maybe not in 4K 60 FPS. It'll probably run at like 1080p or 1440p, depending on the game. But on my end, to be honest, man, I would, if you guys can, I would definitely save up and buy both consoles. And I'll tell you why. What would it cost you guys to build a PC with the same specifications as this system? What would it cost you guys? Double minimum with RDNA 2 specifications, put an SSD, put a power supply, put external storage, put a motherboard, put a capable GPU, put a capable CPU, and buy yourself a decent controller. I mean, good luck trying to find a decent PC controller. Obviously, on the Microsoft side, you guys can use these controllers, but try to build yourself a gaming PC with these specifications at the cost that these things are selling. It's impossible. So, considering that these systems, these consoles can last 6 to 7 years, right? These consoles can last to 6 to 7 years of gaming. These are cheap. These are bargains. So, my opinion, what I would do is save up for the PlayStation, get yourself into this ecosystem, but I would also save up and get yourself one of the Xbox consoles. And if you can, if you're able to save up a little bit more money, 100% guys, go with the Series X. It's a monster. And if you think about longevity, as well as if you're more of a hardcore gamer, you're going to get a lot more out of this box versus the Series S. If you're more of a casual gamer and you want to explore Game Pass, because obviously this is a digital only, then yeah, let's go with the Series S. So that's it, guys. Really excited about doing this video. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I feel like in order to get a really good grasp on the differences between all the consoles. You know, a lot of people review these consoles one weekend. I felt like I should have at least waited a couple months and spent hundreds of hours with both and give you a real unbiased review. I love both the PlayStation, I love both the Xbox. Both do things great in their own respect. And honestly, next console gaming generation is looking amazing, guys. It's looking promising, and 2021 should be a really good gaming year. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video, whatever it is. I'm looking forward to the next one. As always, have yourself a great day, have yourself a great night, and stay safe out there. Cheers.